Good evening, everyone. This is the meeting of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Rockport. My name is George. I am the chair, and it is Wednesday, March 24th. It is just about a few minutes past 6 p.m. This meeting is remote. It is by Zoom and it is being recorded. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. With me are the other four selectmen. Selectman Don Campbell, who's the vice chair, Selectman Sarah Wilkinson, Selectman Paul Murphy, and Selectman Ross Brackett. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. The first thing on it is public comment. So we have Monty with us tonight. So Monty, can you open the mics and see if we have anyone for public comment?
As soon as I see somebody. I do not have a hand raised, and there are very few people with a video on, so I don't see any physical hands either.
So no one for public comment?
No.
Okay, so we'll move on to C, consider approval of outdoor dining requests. Mitch, do you want to start this, or Sarah?
Madam Chair, I would defer to Selectman Wilkinson, who's been guiding the process with the reopening advisory group.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, Selectman Wilkinson, go ahead.
Sure. Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. As everyone knows, the reopening committee has been hard at work. And thanks to Mitch and our office, we were able to get the applications to the restaurants that participated in the outdoor dining on town land. Last year, we were able to get them their applications quickly. This evening, we have 4 applications for you. There were actually 6 that participated last year, and this is only regarding use of, restaurants that were using town land. Those who aren't, we're encouraging them to get open as quickly as possible, because locals and people visiting town are excited to eat outside. And the reason we have 4 and not 6 tonight is the 4 we have in their applications are all the exact same. These 4 are not changing any plans. So we were hoping to kind of fast track, and I know a couple of them are hoping to be open by Easter. The 4 are the Fish Shack, Feather and Wedge, Hula Moon, and the Red Skiff. The other 2 that participated last year, the first one is the Blue Lobster. They're awaiting, the town has applied for a grant, which will do some reconfiguring of Dock Square, which would reconfigure their outdoor dining space. And that grant, we don't find out about the grant until the end of the month. And then they would have to submit a new application. And Nate's, which has changed hands. So I believe that they're opening very soon. So hopefully they will get their application as well. The next step after considering these tonight is to send applications and do some kind of outreach to restaurants that may be interested in it, but are new applicants. So we will move to that phase next. But if you want, Madam Chair, I'm happy to make a motion.
That would be great. Thank you. Any questions from anyone?
No, I thank you for your committee, your hard work. I mean, this is unprecedented times, as we've said numerous times over the last 13 months. But I think the outdoor dining proved to be quite successful last year, and I think this is a good move, and I'm sure a lot of people will be flocking to Rockport in droves this summer. So, and that'll be good for the obviously the businesses.
Yes, Selectman Campbell.
I just like to say again, thank you to Sarah and the committee for all the work that they've done. And I think we're well on our way to making this a mainstay, which is something that, we talked about a long time ago. And I think it's great for the town. It's great for businesses, and it's just great in general. So thank you to everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks very much, both of you. And just to add on, I think that with 2 seasons of this under our belt, we can certainly, I think, successful seasons, it will definitely be time to look at ways to make this permanent. And then the other thing I wanted to add was, as we all know, most if not all of the restaurants took a huge hit financially last year. And I know the outdoor dining space we were able to provide, as well as the outdoor dining space that restaurants own themselves, was a huge benefit. I am happy to report, I'm not sure if I said this at our last meeting, that several of the retail shops reported their their biggest gross sales last season in the last like 5 years.
That's wonderful.
So I think that's great news, and they're all looking to build off of that. And having a successful kind of outdoor dining and lots of options for people to eat, and lots of us locals are looking to eat and dine, to eat and shop locally as well. So
Yeah.
excited to make this happen.
And it's great to have it start so early this year to get it really get it going and get it out there. Yes, Selectman Murphy.
This might be a good time to point this out, but WCVB TV had a story saying that Rockport was one of 2 of the nicest beaches on the East Coast. So that's gotten a lot of traction. I'm sure the Chamber of Commerce has seen it and so forth. So I think people are going to become, as I said earlier, I suspect that people are going to be coming here in droves this summer, which will be great for the business community.
Right. Selectman Brackett.
Having a privilege of having a business downtown, I can already tell you that the traffic is already way up there on the weekends. I think it's going to be a good year.
Good. That's great to hear, Ross.
That's super.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Yes,
And just to add, reopening committee has lots of stuff that we're working on. I'll probably be at our next selectmen's meeting with another kind of list of ideas and things that we have in the works. So all good, but this is the first step tonight. So,
Great.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the request for outdoor dining at the Fish Shack, Feather and Wedge, Hula Moon, and the Red Skiff for the 2021 season, subject to all required sign-offs and the 2020 and 2021 program requirements.
Second.
Made and seconded unanimously. Okay. So any other further discussion?
Yeah, just one more, just so people know, the 2020 and 2021, for the only program requirements we've added are that once the DPW gives the space, you have 7 days to start using it, because we don't want wasted space. And then if for some reason your space isn't used for more than 14 days, at any point in the season, the space gets taken back to the town, because it is obviously valuable metered parking spaces. And so we thought that those 2 regulations, and all 4 of these establishments have agreed to the new terms.
Okay.
One other question, Madam Chair, if I may.
Sure.
Has there been any discussion? I know we touched upon it maybe a couple meetings ago about making some of those Jersey barriers a little bit more decorative and easier on the eyes.
Yeah, we're working on that, and the grant money, the grant application is part of that, and we'll be back to the Board of Selectmen with that soon as well. But we have some
Good.
ideas.
So that will soften up the Jersey barriers a little bit.
Definitely.
Perfect. Good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
Very nice. So we've heard the motion. It's been seconded. Roll call vote. Selectman Campbell,
Aye.
Selectman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Brackett,
Aye.
Selectman George, aye. Unanimous, 5-0. Thank you very much.
Great.
Next, we
Just
move.
to add, just one more thing, sorry, Ruth, just to add, at this point, these restaurants will just need to go through the appropriate inspections. I believe that's town hall, town selectman's office, fire,
Police, building inspector, and Board of Health, and we'll start those notices and that process tomorrow.
Thanks so much.
Great. Great to get that going. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, and your committee. Next is D, Board of Fire Engineers Interviews and Appointment. I thought I would start by reading the post that Michelle Carroll put out that was posted. It's notice of vacancy, internal vacancy, opening date March 1st, closing date March 15th at 4 p.m. Title, member of the Board of Fire Engineers. The town of Rockport seeks qualified applicant for the Board of Fire Engineers. The engineers are responsible for preparing budgets, approving invoices, payrolls, training, vehicle maintenance, fire reports, inspections, overseeing 4 companies and personnel, record keeping, equipment purchases, and maintenance. The engineers also work with other town departments, local chiefs, and the Essex County Mutual Aid System. Qualifications are the applicant must be a current member of the town of Rockport Fire Department and have a minimum of 3 years experience as a fire lieutenant or captain. The application procedure to be considered for this job, you had to submit a Town of Rockport general application, a cover letter, and a resume. And then you had to submit it to the HR department, rockportmass.gov, or mail it to, email is preferred, or you could drop it off in person or via mail to Human Resources, Town of Rockport. So I'm very happy to say that we had 4 internal applicants. We did have one applicant that was not a current firefighter, but had been a firefighter for quite a while, but he withdrew his application prior to the deadline. So we have 4 internal applicants, which we're going to interview tonight. Each of the selectmen was charged with thinking of 2 questions to ask, 1 to 2 questions or so to ask the candidates. I've selected that we'll go in alphabetical order for the candidates. So I'll just read. We're going to start with Captain Douglas Anderson, then to go to Captain Frank Favaloro, then firefighter Don Poole, and then Captain Mark Watson. We'll do the questions. We'll first do Douglas Anderson and we'll ask him all of our questions, and then we'll move on to the next candidate. The way we're going to ask the questions, I will start asking my 2 in the beginning, and then we'll go to Vice Chair Don Campbell, then Sarah Wilkinson, Paul Murphy, and Ross Brackett. After we've asked our questions of all the candidates, then we will move on to deliberate and discuss who we think is the best candidate and make a motion and go forward. So that's how it should proceed. So our first candidate is Captain Douglas Anderson. Doug, did I see you on here?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
So thank you for applying. Thank you for all your years of service. I kind of looked it up. You've been with the department 30 years.
Yes.
Long time. Wow. So I will start. I'll ask you a couple questions and then we'll move on. So my 2 questions are, moving from your current mid-level leadership to senior leadership position within your department, can you tell me about any leadership experiences you've had that will help prepare you for this transition if you are selected?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I had a currently, well, previously with a corporate, I ran a funeral home in Boston. I did that for close to 3 years. So I had management training there, and also had anywhere from 14 to 18 people under me, directly under me at that location.
And working with the guys yourself that you're captain of, can you give me any experience with that, of leadership, of things you've done with them?
Yes, I think that that over the years I've put on quite a few trainings. The last one was Penryn Way, where we actually did actual burning inside the building that was being demolished. Did that and went through the purchase of the ladder truck. That was approximately 12 to 15 years ago. Wasn't very involved in that also.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is, it's important to work with other town departments. Can you discuss ways you would do this to move the department forward?
With working with yes, with Gloucester, Essex, Manchester. I would like to try to get some regional training in now that we've been able to start training, and been training quite a bit since we were allowed to after the COVID restrictions kind of lifted somewhat. So even some regional training to try to get kind of everybody on board with us and other communities close by.
Okay, and also local, like Rockport, other departments and things?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we all work together now, and I think we all have a great relationship. I know we've had a few bumps in the road, but we're all putting our right foot forward and and move it on.
Okay, great. Thanks, Doug. Dawn?
Thank you, Ruth. I appreciate it. I have three quick questions. So in this position, Captain, what do you see as your most important responsibility?
Public safety of my firefighters, men and women, protection of life and property of the town.
Okay, thank you. What immediate steps would you take to ensure forward progress?
Meeting more with the Board of Engineers and the officers, which are the lieutenants and the captains. I really feel that that's a very big, important part of what we do to communicate with our group of firefighters that we're in charge of. And that really needs to start happening again.
Good, thank you. And my last question, and all questions for all applicants will be exactly the same. Doug, you're kind of up front, and so you're off the cuff, but the others have a chance to think about it a bit.
Yeah,
So you're
that's
at a bit of a disadvantage. My last question to you is, what is your position on department member accountability and providing opportunities for growth to your department?
Growth, we're always trying to grow. I encourage all my firefighters, and I call them firefighters because I have male and female. I encourage training as much as they can. We're constantly out, with other companies, cross training, really trying to just work together and be well-rounded, let's say.
And on the accountability piece?
I'm sorry, accountability, yes, absolutely. What is expected of the firefighters, they're kept to those standards, and yeah, it's what's the word I'm looking for?
Sorry, Doug, not trying to put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Camaraderie and just trying to lead them in the right. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, and just trying to lead them in the right direction.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate your answers. Thank you.
Next, Selectman Wilkinson?
Great. Hi Doug, nice to see you guys. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Yeah, it keeps cutting out for some reason. I
It
don't
keeps
know why,
cutting
but
out a
that's
little,
okay.
yeah. Okay, so obviously take your time and just raise your hand if you can't hear me. So I guess my first question is, over the last 6 months, the issue of keeping Rockport a volunteer department has become a big issue. And I know that this Board of Selectmen has repeatedly and unanimously multiple times said that we have no intention of changing the setup to a full-time department. We love the volunteer department as it is. So how do you think, kind of moving forward, and I love how you said, we're taking steps forward. How do you think moving forward, the Board of Engineers can work with the town administration and the selectmen to support and to keep, to work to keep this type of volunteer department, in perpetuity, forever if possible?
Well, that's exactly what we're hoping. If we can get more members to join, which us captains have done that, and other firefighters have gotten other people to apply, and to keep the numbers up. We've lost quite a few people, in the last, year and a half. Like I said before, there's been some bumps in the road, but I just think that we can work through this. I think, with more communication, more meetings, obviously training. I think we can move forward for the better of the department, for the better for us, the department, and for the town.
Great. Excellent. Thanks so much. My second question is like a little bit of a follow-up, and I had prepared this in advance. I didn't know what your answer was going to be. But so we learned at our last selectmen's meeting, and maybe at the end of the interviews, we can have Acting Chief Keating comment on this, but Chairwoman George let us know that there are several new recruits hoping to join the department kind of in the works, which is exciting. So what do you think the most important steps that the Board of Engineers as leaders of the department can take? And I say that can take in bringing in, as we get new recruits. And I say that under the guise of, moving forward, knowing that there have been some bumps in the road recently. So what do you do with, with a half dozen or a dozen new recruits? What do you do maybe differently that you wouldn't have done if there hadn't been bumps in the road?
I think that because of our number of people being down at this point, that we really need to get them up to speed as quick as we can, get them on board, and get them training as much as possible to get them obviously up to speed to be able to go into a fire and have some knowledge of the vehicles, the equipment, and firefighting, of course, number one.
Great. And then my third question is probably a little easier, but is a Board of Engineers something you've wanted to do, something you've wanted to do for a long time?
It is. As you all know, my family's been in this ever since I was born. I remember, being a little boy collecting money with a net, then wanted to get on, and you had to be out of high school at 18 and high school diploma and all that. And then immediately, of course, when I graduated high school, got on and have worked my way up through the ranks. And I know I worked out of town a few years ago and I wasn't around very much, but my schedule now has changed where I'm a little more flexible working the next town over. So it's nice to be able to be around more.
That's great. Awesome. Thanks so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Selectman Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Captain Anderson, for all your years of service to the town of Rockport. It's greatly appreciated. I have three questions similar to my colleagues, but my first one for you, Captain, is why do you want to be a member of the Board of Engineers?
Again, with the bumps in the road that have happened, I think that my knowledge, my leadership skills, management skills, people skills, I would hope that would be of good interest of the department, of the town of Rockport, and of course the Board of Selectmen.
Good. Thank you. My second question is, please explain a conflict or a challenge you faced as a captain in the department, and how did you handle it? A conflict or a challenge that you had to take on as a leadership member of the fire department, and how did you handle it?
Well, with conflict, I've had a few. It's mostly been kind of stopped at the scene of where it happened, where the incident happened, and was brought into the office with the individuals involved and discussed behind closed doors. But immediately on the scene or on the training site would interrupt any kind of conflict going on and get it out of there and get it to where it needs to be.
Okay, thank you, Captain. And my final question is, what education or training have you had that makes you a perfect fit for this position on the Board of Engineers?
Well, outside of the fire department training, I've had management training through corporate that I worked for. But through the actual fire department, I've had incident command, pump training, gas fires. There's various different classes that I've taken, which I know that I would need more to be able to be proficient into the Board of Engineers. And
You don't want to be on the
obviously,
Board
I'm
of
very
Selectmen.
willing to take those on. No, Board of Engineers. I corrected
Yeah.
myself.
Well, thank you, Captain. Thank you for your answers. And again, thank you for your service.
But yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you. And thank you all for the opportunity.
And Selectman Brackett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hey, Captain Doug, how you doing?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Good.
Good.
If appointed, what leadership style do you plan to bring to the Board of Engineers?
A solid leadership we need to be professional. We need to have leadership, and execute those ways of being professional.
Thank you.
Not as a full-time professional, but as professional, which we are professional. We are all male and female. We're all professional, and I think we do a great job within the town. And I want to keep that going and just build on it, make it stronger.
And second question, with the retention issues in the past of recruits, how do you plan to inspire others from the community to join the fire department?
I think that, with the changes that have been made, I don't think there's as much, not hostility, but it's not as scrutinized now, where we can, it's a word I'm looking for, just I'm trying to think, like to be together and not talk about the past, not talk about the past, but don't bring up the past. Let's just move forward, especially with the new members. We don't need to scar them in any way. How's that for wording?
Sounds good.
We don't want to do that. We want to move forward from where we are. We definitely don't want to go backwards, and I don't plan to. It's going to be, putting one foot in front of the other and moving forward.
Thank you. All set, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Doug, for all your answers. Great job.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Captain.
Okay, next we'll move on to Captain Frank Favaloro. Hi, Frank, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I'll ask you my two questions first. Moving from your current mid-level leadership position to senior leadership position within your department, can you tell me about any leadership experience you've had that will help you with this transition with your group in you being the captain and your men?
Okay, well, my leadership experience I've owned 3 different businesses, and I've been the boss on all of them. I've run a bulk storage plant when I had a few guys under me, and I've run the oil company for a very number of years. Within the department, I'm an advocate for all the guys. I'm easily approachable, so they can all come to me and I can ask. And I always go right upstairs to find out what we need. If they need something, we try to get everything straightened out. So.
Okay, thank you. And the next one is, it's important to work with other Rockport town departments. Can you discuss ways you would do this to move the department forward?
I always get along with everybody in town. I think most people know that. I know most of the DPW guys, when we need help, with it, like sending a sander out because it's slippery roads, or we're making a mess, because that happens a lot. We get a hold of them right away. The police, are phenomenal. They cover streets for us. As a matter of fact, I like doing details with them. When there's a car accident or something, I will free them up so they can do their investigation on the other end of it. The ambulance, I'm always there to give a hand like everybody else, but if it's near where I am, I always go in and help and try to ease the people and calm them down and help with the ambulance and all the departments.
Okay, thank you. Dawn? Selectman
Thank you.
Campbell?
Yes, thank you, Ruth. I appreciate it. Captain, in this position, what do you see as your most important responsibility?
Right now, retaining the men. I mean, keeping everybody calm. I'm very versatile, so I love to talk to the younger guys. I try to bring new people in. I've been to the school every year, of course, until last year, to try to recruit people. I'm big on that. I really like that. I think we should get the younger people that are going to be staying in town to try to join the fire department. That's a really good thing for them. I'm responsible. Like I said, I'm very loyal to them. If they need something, they can come to me and I'll ask for it. I'll go right after it.
Okay. What immediate steps would you take to ensure forward progress?
Immediate steps would be just to make sure that they know that how approachable that I am. I'm versatile. I'm trusted upstairs. Make sure that when they come to me and ask for stuff, that I get right in there and do it for them as quickly as possible. If I have to come to the Board of Selectmen meeting to ask for something big, I will. I mean, I'm pretty good at that. That's where I go, making sure we're going forward, going in the right direction. Make sure everybody's happy, but dedicated to this job. I mean, you have to be dedicated. You can't, obviously, none of us are in it for the money. We're here to make sure that we do our jobs. So I
Good.
push that.
Good, thank you. What is your position on department member accountability and for providing opportunities for growth?
Opportunities for growth. We're always trying to get the guys to become drivers. After that, they have a 1-year trial before we can even get them in that position. But we get the guys, get them in that first year. We get them so they know how to hook up a hydrant, they know how to put a pack on, get them introduced to going in buildings, keep everybody interested as much as we can. This past year has been very trying for all of that. But I think going forward, right now, where things are starting to ease up and we can get guys out and start crawling around and running water, and I actually have a drill plan for probably either the Easter weekend or the weekend after. We take 2 of the pumps up to Steel Derrick and have a little water fight with the deck guns. Just, keep everybody interested. That's all.
Okay, and if you could just touch on the accountability piece, I'd appreciate it.
Accountability. We make sure the big one of our problems right now, I would say, is not accountability, but what's our communication skills. We need to bring those up, but we try to get the guys, no matter what the call is, they have to show up. You really need to be able to move those trucks out. We need to get those guys on scene, on the trucks, get them moving. So the accountability there right now is a little lax, but I think that's something that we're going to try to push the guys that don't show up as often as they should or often as they could. I think that's that part of the accountability we really need to up.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm all set. Thank you, Ruth.
Okay, next is Selectman Wilkinson.
Thanks. Can I just ask a quick follow-up to something that Frank just said to Don's answer? Is that okay? Hi, Frank. Nice to see you.
You
So,
too.
is there like to stay an active member? Is there like a minimum number of calls that you have to go on or anything?
There is not. We've never enforced a minimum. If you were joined from Gloucester, they wanted a 55% minimum, but we've never enforced it from Rockport.
Okay.
But you have to have the right state of mind to really do the job. So you want to try to get those guys and get them involved, and it's been good. We've been getting better at it. So
Great. Okay.
there
Yeah.
is no minimum. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I was just curious. Thanks so much. So, I think I can just read a shortened version, but same question, obviously. So, obviously the board has stated our support for keeping a volunteer department. So how do you think the Board of Engineers can work with the town administration and the selectmen to support and, continue a volunteer department, forever if possible?
Hopefully it'll last forever. We need to get everybody together. We need to get, when we have a recruit, we need to get them fast tracked and get their query check done and get them in to have a physical. Right now, one of the problems is one of the candidates that's out there has been waiting a year. That's way too long. But I mean, that's stuff we're gonna have to work on with the HR person, or hopefully maybe we can start sending the people out ourselves like we used to. That was always the way it was done. But we'll push in the right direction, hopefully.
Great. Okay, thanks. And then we learned at our last meeting that there are several new recruits, which is great news. So what do you think that the most important steps, especially I'll go back to what Doug said earlier, that there have been some bumps in the road this past year. So what do you think is most important, in terms of leaders of the department of bringing new recruits in and moving forward?
Right off the bat, I would say with new recruits, you try to read them real quick to see where they're going to fit and get them in a company and get them working immediately with whichever company will put them with. I mean, so they get out on a ladder truck, or they get out with one of the engines and put their gear on and learn about hydrants. And that's what we got to do real, that first trial, get them going right away. So.
Great. And then just last but not least, something kind of fun, but how long would you say that it's been a goal of yours to be on the Board of Engineers?
I never really thought too much about it until now, because we need to keep moving this department forward. And I feel like I'm one of the ones that can do that. So it's a big step. I mean, I'm 61 years old, not that that's a big deal, but I want to make sure this department is going in the right direction when I do have to retire in a couple of years. So.
Great. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Okay, and Selectman Brackett. Oh,
Is
Selectman
there-
Murphy, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I skipped over
Yep.
Oh,
Paul.
no, that's okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Captain, for all your years of service to the Rockport Fire Department. I have 3 questions, similar to the exact same questions that I asked Captain Anderson. First, what education or training have you had that makes you a fit for this position on the Board of Engineers?
We have plenty of in-house training, tons of it. I've never gone to the academy. I'm a good bookkeeper. I mean, I've done that all through my other jobs. I'm good at keeping track of people. I'm good at training. I'm good at training. I mean, if I need to follow up in training, I can write grants if I need to. I'm sure there's tons of stuff that I can go to make sure this department goes in the right direction.
Good, thank you, Captain. And please explain a conflict or a challenge you faced as a leader, as a captain in the department, Rockport Fire Department, and how did you handle it?
I had one member that just didn't want to look at me as a leader. We sat him down. We did a bunch of different things. He was very adamant about one of the other fellows being a leader that couldn't lead anymore. So we dealt with it. I tried to help him through it. He inevitably left because of it, but he could have aged out, but that was probably the biggest dilemma that I've ever had to deal with. He just didn't want anybody else to lead him except for one person, and that just wasn't possible anymore. That was probably our biggest thing that I've had to deal with.
Okay, and my final question is very simply, why do you want to be on the Board of Engineers?
Like I said before, I want to make sure this department stays where it is and goes forward. I want to keep it volunteer and make sure we're going forward. We need to get some recruits. We need to make sure that the new captains, the new lieutenants, everybody is on board and going in the right direction.
Okay, thank you, Captain. Just again, I want to reiterate, the town does not want to go away from the being a volunteer.
I agree.
Okay, I just want to, I keep saying that over and over again. And so thank you, Captain, for your answers. Thank you, Madam Chair.
That's a different story. I don't think we should bring that up tonight.
Okay, next, Selectman Brackett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How are we doing, Captain?
How are you?
First question, what style of leadership do you plan to bring if appointed?
Well, style of leadership, I just, my own, I'm very forward. I'm very honest. I'm dependable. I'll be there. If somebody has a question, I'll answer it. If I need to find something, I can look it up. That's just me. Boisterous. I'm easily approachable, so anybody can come and say, what's going on. So,
And the second question, you kind of touched on it with Selectman Campbell's question, but how do you plan to inspire others to join from our community? Do you
Well,
plan to keep on going to the school like you said you've done?
right. I'd love to get back to school if school's in session, but the younger group that we have on the department now, I got to get them out there. We've already started pushing some of them to get their friends involved, because that's what we need. We need the younger group, it's definitely a younger man's job to put that pack on and climb in the building. Not that we can't do it, it's just that it's a younger person's job. Yeah. And women too. There are a couple girls in town that I've been kind of pushing to try to get on the fire department. I think they'd be a good fit, but we'll see. We're working on them. So
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Laura, for all your questions and answers. Next, we'll move on to firefighter Don Poole. And welcome, Don.
Welcome. How are you all tonight?
Good, and how are
Excellent.
you?
Good.
Okay, so I will start with my two questions and then we'll go on.
Okay.
So moving from your current or previous mid-level leadership to senior leadership position within the department, can you tell me about any leadership experience you've had that will help with this transition from your fire department experience?
I think I've had a whole bunch of positions in different places. I went, been on the board of directors when the Red Cross was in Gloucester, before they moved it up to Beverly. I ran the safety committee when I was working at Inventive, which used to be, anybody that old timers might know it as Kona up in Gloucester.
Oh, yeah.
We've had all these positions. One of the things that we've had issues with in the department before was that we used to vote on all our offices, and and that may not be the best way to go on, and we've transitioned from that. So as a former lieutenant, I've done my best to help the people, keep them safe, keep them trained up as much as I can. And I think I can bring that in a combination of the leadership I've got right now as an instructor for the fire academy. I mean, we jump positions all over the place. One day you could be just a regular instructor teaching the guys, but like this weekend and this past weekend, I'm the lead instructor right now running the classes for Gloucester. So, I'm going ahead, I've had it all. I know what it feels like to be down below, and I know what it feels like to be up top. So, you just kind of got to remember what that all feels like. So you're not, so when you're talking to the people, they know what they're getting.
Okay, and especially with the men that you work with right now, the leadership that you've done with them.
Yeah, I usually take a good heavy role of leading them on what they're trying to do, guiding them on what they're trying to do, especially when we do training. There was one point I know when Doug was appointed as captain that I was specifically told by the Board of Engineers to, we want you to train up the new guys. We'd rather have you focusing on that instead. So I try to take any of the new people and just lead them into learning how to get along in the fire department and without getting hurt. How to do what they have to do, what operations they need to do, and what qualifications and priorities they have.
Okay, thank you very much. And my second is, it's important to work with other town departments in Rockport. Can you discuss ways you would do this to move the department forward?
Well, currently I work with both the ambulance and the fire department. I can see the differences between the two. Specifically, I know there's been times when we've had to call, like Frank mentioned about calling the DPW and stuff, usually in the winter months. But they've got access to stuff that we don't have when it comes time for like hazardous spills or anything like that. Sometimes we might need sand from them. But I think all the departments ultimately have to work together Because everybody has their strengths. Every incident that we run into on any of the fire department, any emergency scene, and it doesn't matter if you're police, ambulance, fire, harbor master, whoever, every emergency is different and is going to require different stuff to mitigate it. Now, we may need stuff from the DPW. We may need stuff from the ambulance. We may need stuff from the hazardous materials trailer that's sitting up behind the police station. So we all have our strengths to bring to it, and we all have to work together to make it all, to mitigate any situation we run into.
Okay, I was specifically thinking of like working with the finance committee, board of selectmen, purchases.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those-
No, I mean,
those-
you all have to talk, and, when it comes time to do what you have to do, whether it be budgets or whether it be purchasing new vehicles and new apparatus, maintenance or anything like that, you've got to be able to communicate to the other departments why you need it so much. It's like when we bought the new ladder truck. There was a real pushback on that initially because of the high price. But once we put it towards the finance committee and, explained to them exactly why we needed such an expensive vehicle, because it was in the vicinity of $785,000, that, it made more sense. Because when we get into things like that, apparatus that we buy, the new apparatus that we buy, it all goes towards our ISO rating and it all drops down the insurance for the town. And so it all kind of comes together, whether it be finance or selectmen or town administrator or anybody else. We all got to kind of move it in the right same direction.
Okay, thank you. Selectman Campbell.
Thank you. I appreciate that. In this position, what do you see as your most important responsibility?
I think in any position, especially in a leadership position like the board, the most important responsibility is, keeping people active, making sure they know what their responsibilities are. If you bring somebody on and just say, okay, now you're on the fire department, but don't give them a guideline to go by, they can get lost. And the one big thing we don't want is we don't want people to get lost in the department. We want to bring on those new recruits. We want to show them how to get going and where they can go and how they can move on as far as and move up the ladder. So, the big thing is just communication. And even Frank mentioned that, our communication isn't great right now. And I think we can make it a lot better. I think we can use technology a lot better with the emails and with texts and all that, and use different groups so that we can all get together on the same page.
Good, thank you. What immediate steps would you take to ensure forward progress?
I think the most immediate step really is we've got to review what our documents are. We've got to review what we've got for guidelines, what we've got for priorities, what we've got for policies, and kind of put them together so that there's no conflicts between them, so that one policy isn't saying one thing and another policy is saying something else. Because once you start having conflicts like that, people don't know which one to pick. And we got to make sure that all of them from different departments, like the ambulance and the fire department, make sure there's no conflicts between them, because you may follow one for the ambulance and you may have to follow a different one for the fire department. And that all depends upon where you fit into the whole emergency scheme.
Okay, good, thank you. And lastly, and remember, this is a two-part question. What is your position on department member accountability and also for providing opportunities for growth?
I think as far as accountability goes, all members of the fire department need to be accountable for their actions. But at the same time, they've got to know what those actions are. There's been some stuff that's gone on in the past decade or so where, a person gets on the department and, they may not know exactly, they're told one thing by a set of captains in one company, and then a different company has a different set, a little bit of rules and little different things that they work with. I think, accountability wise, if we can get that all standardized so that everybody's working under the same guidelines, the same, I don't want to call them rules and regulations, but for lack of a better term, and know that we're there and the board's there and the captains are there to guide them, because nobody's going to come on the department and say, okay, I know everything. And, you get those people every once in a while that think they do, but you still gotta kind of move them in the right direction and, and just guide them to where they need to be. And in doing that, we keep the growth going by keeping people training. We keep training them better. We keep bringing them up. We've got classes everywhere. There's classes all over the state that the people can go to. The firefighters, any of the firefighters are available to go to any class in the state that the academy offers. With a few minor exceptions, like the one in Gloucester was paid for by a grant. So it's only open to Gloucester because of the grant. But any of the other ones advertised, they can go to. And I think it's a huge growth thing to go to different classes, to other people, to other places, so they can see what other people are doing and they can interact and they network and they can meet other people, and then we can discuss stuff. And they get to talk back and forth to the people that they're going to see, whether it be Gloucester, Essex, Manchester, when they come in mutual aid.
Very good. Thank you for your answers. I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Selectman Wilkinson.
Great. Hi, Don. Thanks so much.
there.
Nice to see you. Again, how do you think the Board of Engineers can work with the town administration and Board of Selectmen to continue to carry on a volunteer department? And I'll add on again, just in case people have joined us since we started, that, this Board of Selectmen has, continues to say that we want to keep the department volunteer, hopefully
Right.
forever. So how do you
Right.
think we can all work together to make that happen?
One of the big pushes that was on a couple of years ago that really didn't seem to take hold is the population for Rockport. It keeps getting older and older. And we need to bring in that younger population into town somehow to get the schools up, to get everything up. And if we can bring a younger population in, or keep the people that are graduating from school from going away, if we can keep them in town, then we can use them as a base for our volunteers. And it doesn't matter whether it's the fire department, the ambulance, the different boards, committees that the town has. If we can bring those younger people in and work with the different ways, give them opportunities for what they want to do to stay here, whether it be on different boards, committees, volunteer opportunities, anything like that. I think we can grow everything that way. And if we get enough young people around, and even like Frank said, recruiting from the school, then I think, we'll all work together. And I think we can stay as a volunteer department for a long, long time.
Great. It's funny, I typically go to the school every year to talk about being a selectman. And I don't think kids are that as interested in being a selectman as being a firefighter. Oddly, oddly. But anyway, thanks. But my second question is, obviously we all know that there are, lots of new recruits that are interested in the department. What do you think, are some important steps that the Board of Engineers as leaders of the department could take in bringing them in, especially in light of, all that's gone on in the
Right.
past year or so?
I think the biggest thing as a board too is when we bring new people on, we've got to instill the fact that, they're coming into a family, as dysfunctional as it may be. They're coming in as a family. We want them, and, we want to all grow as people, as a family, like we all do. And we want to make them welcome more than anything. At no point do we want to tell somebody, well, you're an idiot, we don't want you here. If they're willing to do this job, and it's not an easy job by any means, if they're willing to do this job, we should be supporting them as much as we possibly can, give them as much training as they can take, in any way, shape, or form, and just keep them busy. If we can keep them busy, we can keep their interest.
Great. And then, how long have you wanted to be on the Board of Engineers for? Has it been a childhood dream?
Yeah, it's been a while. Ever since I left the board of the Red Cross, and Ruth knows how that whole situation went with Rockport and Gloucester and everything moving to Beverly. I could see where a leadership is and how a leadership can guide the different groups and different departments. My mother was always good about saying, you need to go to school. You need to go to school. She was a Sawyer Medal winner. And my father graduated Rockport and he was a C student. And I think I got a little more of him and me than I got her. So, going to school and stuff, it was always one of those things of, if bumping into people of higher positions. I mean, most all of the guys that I teach with at the academy, they're all chiefs, assistant chiefs, upper captains. And, you know, it's funny because some of the students say, oh, you're a chief now, aren't you? I'm like, no, I'm still driving the truck, you know, and that's just the way we work. But we all have skills and we all have things that we can bring to the, you know, bring to the job.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I love that you said that. Great, thanks so much.
Okay.
Great. Selectman Murphy, your questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you firefighter Poole for all your service to the town of Rockport through the
Thank
fire
you.
department. I have 3 questions, same questions as the other 2 candidates. My first one is, please explain a conflict or a challenge you faced as a as a firefighter leader in the department and how you handled it.
You know, as a lieutenant, past lieutenant, we've gone through different conflicts. We've had a couple that in way back when, where a couple individuals were showing up, not doing anything. And you could literally chase him around the fire truck going, where is he? Where'd he go? And he'd be on one side, you'd be on the other side looking for some help. And, you know, we tried to address that with the people. And the 2 individuals that I know specifically that, you know, we said, hey, you know, you got to step up. You know, we talked with them first, and then it became a matter of that really wasn't helping. And we ended up basically writing them a letter saying, hey, you know, you have to get going here. And you have to, if you're going to contribute to the fire department, because we're relying on you. You may be one of only 5 people that show up, you know, and we're relying on you to do this. And, you know, it kind of gets them in a little bit of a kick in the butt to say, hey, you know, I guess you're right. You know, I've basically been on both sides of the whole conflict and accountability and everything else, you know, so I can see where it comes. One of the things that I do find that we run into on the fire service, especially, and I should say emergency services in general, is anytime we put rules, regulations, you know, any kind of policies or anything else, they've got to be a little bit flexible. And we as leaders have to realize that every incident is different. Everything has to be flexible. We got to really understand where that person was coming from and what that person was thinking at the time and why they did what they did. Because, you know, there may be good reasons for somebody doing something that was really cockeyed. You know, maybe they saw something that we didn't see. And, you know, that can be big, you know, for depending on why somebody does what they do.
Thank you. My second question, very simple. Why do you want to be on the Board of Engineers?
You know, there again, I just turned 59. I've only got a few years left until I hit 65. I'd really like to focus as much as I can to, you know, to bring the department back from where it is. You know, I want that communication better. I would like to get everybody trained up. I'd like to see all the departments work together a little bit better. I don't want to see any conflict between, you know, because there are times when I've heard in the background, being on the ambulance and being on the fire department, that, you know, well, you know, we should be calling them, or we should be calling them, or they should have been notified first. Well, you know, those are the things that we need to work out. And as a firefighter, I can't do any of that. Being on the upper level on the board, that's when you can sit down with the other department heads and say, okay, what do you need fixed? How can we help? Because everybody can help everybody else.
Great. Thank you. And my final question is, and I think you touched upon this a little bit with Selectman Wilkinson, but what education or training have you had that makes you a perfect fit or a fit for the Board of Engineers? Education and training.
Education wise, you know, there again, I had my mother in the back of my head there, and she always wanted me to finish school, and I never did. And then once I had the kids and once they were grown up enough that, you know, that I could actually spend time and doing it, I found Anna Maria College had online classes, and I was actually able to finish my bachelor's degree in fire science through Anna Maria.
Oh, good for you.
And, you know, as much as it was for me, I kind of think in the back of my mind, it was for mom too. I do a lot of training. I've been 25 years with the fire academy, and, you know, you see an awful lot out there, and we go all over the state. The group I'm in, we take the classes to everyone in the state. So we get to talk to everybody. You know, I deal with chiefs, I deal with assistant chiefs, I deal with captains, training officers, all of that stuff. And then, you know, right down to the brand new recruit, showing them exactly how to do stuff and do it safely so they don't get hurt, you know. And it's surprising sometimes when you get even people in upper management, you know, captains that have been there 15, 20 years, and you show them something new and they go, oh yeah, I had forgotten that, you know. So it all comes together that way.
Great. Well, thank you for your well thought out answers. I appreciate
you.
it.
And Selectman Brackett, your questions.
Hey Don, how you doing?
Hi there.
I'll start off with the second question first. How do you think you can inspire others from the community to join the department?
In order to get people onto the department, we've got to show them that they're wanted there and they've got a role there. One of the things that we have is in any of the departments is everybody has a skill set. And it doesn't matter if you're a plumber, an electrician, an accountant, or whatever. We need that skill set. We can use it. And, you know, once we start getting the kids in and getting people to talk to their friends and whatever and bring them in, I think we can get more people into the department and interested in it, you know, just by showing we can use whatever skills they have.
And if appointed, what style of leadership will you bring to the department?
I try to be easygoing and approachable. I think the largest thing that we have, excuse me, I think one of the largest things that we can help and do with anything is communication. If we can get the communication better so that, you know, if you have an issue and you can't resolve it with your captain, lieutenant, whatever, and it has to come up to us, you know, on the board level, it would be an issue that, you know, we can't be super strict. We have to like understand what that person's going through, because there's a lot of things that go into it. One of the biggest things we've seen this whole past year, you know, with COVID and everything else, is everybody's stressed beyond belief. And that stress carries over to a lot of stuff, you know. And, you know, see, you got to understand when somebody's overly stressed, and maybe that's feeding into what their issues may be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Don, for your answers.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to Captain Mark Watson. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Hello, welcome.
Okay, so I'll start with my two questions again, and that is moving from your current mid-level leadership position within the department. Can you tell me about any leadership experience you've had that will help with this transition? Leadership experience, I mean, in the department with your guys, that has led you to feel like it would be a good thing to move up the ladder type thing.
Well, I think I've been a captain for probably 5 or 6 years now, and we've gotten a lot of we've had a few new guys come on since I've been captain, and I think I've been able to show them the different parts of the firefighting, from, you know, from being the clerk all the way up to a #1 driver, and just showing them the different parts of how it's run and what we do. And I think it's just I think I have a lot to teach them and to show them and get them going on their way.
Okay, thank you. And my next question is, it's important to work with other town departments. Can you discuss ways you would do this to move the department forward, like Finance Committee, Board of Selectmen? You know, I know you guys work with the ambulance, DPW, and those kind of things, but up in this other position, you'd be working with other boards in the town. So tell me how you'd work with them moving this department forward, do you think?
Excuse me. I would like to work with them and keeping the lines of communication open. You know, especially as if we need to purchase a new truck or purchase new tools, to work with them and talk to them, and so we can get the firefighters' input on it to relay to the Finance Committee or to the board, and let us discuss what we know about it, and maybe what different boards know, and try to put it all together and come up with one good idea on how we can move forward with purchasing something, or if there's an issue that has to be dealt with, how we can work with that issue and get it resolved, and try it in a fashion, in a quickly amount of time, and we're moving forward that way.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Next, Selectman Campbell.
Thank you. Captain, in this position, what do you see as your most important responsibility?
I think the most important responsibility would be to, keep the firefighters safe, and make sure they have a good understanding of how all the different equipment is used and run, and the ins and outs of it, and the safety that you need to be able to run the different equipment that we have, and just stress the training and the safety issues of everything, and make sure people are moving forward with the safety issues.
Very good. Thank you very much. What immediate steps would you take to ensure forward progress? And I apologize, the dog is downstairs barking. My kids are playing with them, so I apologize for that in advance.
That's okay. For moving forward, I think, obviously, like everyone else has touched on, recruitment is a big thing. And keeping the line of communication open with the different boards, and keeping people involved in the different drills, and letting them know that, like the other guys have said, that they're needed and they're wanted, and to just keep everybody involved, and not let people stand around and get bored. And there's always something to do. And like I said, that people always have different opinions and voices on things, and try to hear out everybody, and just keep moving forward, and let them know it is hard work, but that we do have some fun. We do have some fun occasionally too. So it's not all a hard work. There is some fun involved with it.
Very good. And lastly, and again, I'll stress that it is two-part. What is your position on department member accountability and providing opportunities for growth?
Excuse me, for the growth, I know when I started, I came on as a firefighter, then I became the clerk, and I moved to the lieutenant, and I moved to the number one, the number one driver, then to the lieutenant, and then to the captain. So there is, if you stick with it and show that you're interested, there is growth there to be had. And there are plenty of training exercises out there. So there is growth to be had if, you put your nose down and you really want to work at it. And accountability is just, just make sure that you are always looking out for your guys and girls, and making sure they're all having fun, and just keep an eye on them, and make sure they're staying safe, and they're keeping everybody safe, and they're operating the machinery and the equipment safe, and just keeping the stuff up to code, and keeping it nice and neat and clean, and in good working condition.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the answer.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Selectman Wilkinson.
Great. Hi, Mark. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
I thought that was your dog at first, and I felt bad because I figured you were probably panicking, but it was Dawn's.
You might hear mine sometime.
Zoom problems. Okay, so obviously same questions. I feel like people are probably sick of listening to the questions, but so how do you think that the Board of Engineers can work with the administration of the town and the selectmen to continue to support a volunteer fire department forever?
I think just keeping the line of communication open, and if there's any with any issues that come up, and just make sure and make sure everybody talks, and just have an open line of communication. I think that's the most important part of it. things seem to be working out fairly well now. I think it's just communication is the big thing. Just make sure everybody's on the same page, and we have to have more meetings and more communications. And I think that would be the key to that.
Great. Okay. And then, as you know, there are lots of new recruits interested in joining the department. So how do you think as leaders of the department, kind of, with everything that's gone on and with everything that hasn't, just regular kind of department stuff, how do you feel that the Board of Engineers can bring new members in successfully? Like, what do you think the Board of Engineers can do together to bring new members in successfully?
Well, as Captain Favaloro said, the school, if we can try to utilize the school, that would be a big help. But and just talking to different friends and family members and explaining to them what the fire department's all about and what we do and how it is a family and people, we all help each other. We're all in it for the town and the community, and just to just move forward that way, and just make sure everybody realizes that it's all for the good of the community and the town, and just to keep it moving forward so we can keep a nice volunteer department going.
Great. And then lastly, have you wanted to be on the Board of Engineers for a long time?
Actually, well, I would say maybe in the last 8 or 10 years, so more so than first starting out. But I feel as I've kind of worked my way up through, I've been around for, almost around 30 years or so. So I've seen quite a bit of stuff, and I think I'd have a good knowledge and be able to help the younger kids, the younger guys and girls that are moving up with, through the process, and give them some good advice and be able to help them.
Great. Awesome. Thanks so much.
All righty. Thank you.
Okay, Selectman Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Captain Watson, for all your years of service to the department. I particularly liked your comment about, you have to have fun too. We have fun. I always say that in school, when students get in trouble or the parents and teachers, so serious. I always say, the kids got to have fun too. So I'm glad that the fire department has some fun as well. So thank you. I'm going to ask the same 3 questions that I asked the other candidates. And the first one would be, what education or training have you had that makes you a fit for the position on the Board of Engineers?
Well, like I say, I've done quite a bit of in-house training. I've done some training online. And like I say, I think, I've been around for 30 years. So I think I've seen quite a bit of incidents, and I've been through quite a few different incidents. And I think I have quite a good background of what has, anywhere from like the car accidents to the water rescues to the woods fires, house fires, I think I have enough I've been around a little bit to let people know the different ins and outs of it.
Good. Thank you, Captain. And please explain a conflict or a challenge you faced as a leader, Captain, in the department, and please tell us how you handled it.
I don't know if I have a certain particular one right off the top of my head, but I've always tried to meet that individual on a one-on-one basis and try to work it out with him. And if we couldn't, maybe I would bring in the lieutenant, and the 3 of us would kind of sit down and talk it over, and we try to work it out. And if that wouldn't work, then maybe you bring in the chief or the assistant chiefs, and we'd all try to go upstairs and meet with them and try to hash it out and see if we can resolve it. And if not, then if we have to go to even higher than that, we would do that. But generally, everything's been able to be handled in-house and with the captains or the board or with the chiefs. So I like to try to just do it on a one-on-one basis with the individual, and hopefully we can work it out that way.
Terrific. Thank you. And my final question is very simply, why do you want to be on the Board of Engineers?
Well, I think it'd be a very interesting opportunity to, to meet, I don't know, to meet different people from other fire departments and meetings, and you can learn a little bit from the other different departments, and like I say, just try to pass on some knowledge to the new people, and try to bring more people in, and just try to keep the ball rolling, and just try to make it a a fun environment. It's a serious environment, but try to make it once in a while we have some fun, and just keep things going up on the up and up.
Good. Well, thank you, Captain.
Well, thank you.
And Selectman Brackett.
How are you doing, Captain?
I'm good. How are you?
How do you plan to inspire others from the community to join the department?
Well, I would, if I had the opportunity, I would sit down and try to talk to a group of people or an individual, and tell them my experience and how I started, and what I've gotten out of it, and how it's helped me through the years, and how you get to meet different people and give back to your community, and how it's a nice volunteer job or opportunity to do to give back to the town.
Thank you. And what style of leadership will you bring to the table if appointed?
Well, I honestly think I don't know if I'd go much off how I'm doing it now as a captain. I feel as though I feel as though I have a pretty good rapport with the guys that I am captain of now, and I think I have I can talk to I think I have a good rapport with all the guys, and I have a good communication skills, I believe, and I am available to meet with people, and I think I would just keep going the way that I'm going. And also I would change it all that much, to be honest with you. I think I've been pretty successful as a lieutenant, as a captain, of what I've been going through, what I've been doing now.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all four of you, for your great answers to our questions. Now we will sort of talk amongst ourselves and deliberate, and try to see if we can pick the next person to fill the seat on the Board of Fire Engineers. So thank you. So folks, selectmen, now we have the hard job of deliberating and talking, figuring out who's the next person on the Board of Fire Engineers. Any initial thoughts? Well, I kind of just wrote down a couple things, and that was we really need the right fit for this position at this time, taking into consideration education, experience, temperament for the job, seen as a leader in the group that they are in, and in the department and in the town. And someone who's gonna, and this has been mentioned several times and everyone's answered it, continue to move the department forward, and keep the communication going. Because I see that as the biggest thing right now to really, that's what this person we're picking tonight is going to be, a real good communicator with the men and women of the department right now, with the town boards and the members of the Rockport community, to get it out there that we're moving forward and things are working, and tell us what you need and that type of thing. So what does everyone think?
I'll jump in if it's okay.
Absolutely.
Well, first, thank you. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for their really clear and concise answers and the time they took and the thought they put into them. One of the things that I see here in Rockport, aside from the answer section of the Q&A here tonight, is that it's not like we're a Boston or a Worcester Fire Department where people get lost and you don't know who's who. We're fortunate enough to know everybody that has applied tonight and know them in fairly specific detail. And that's really an asset to have. And everybody presented very well and I think worked out very well. So I'm interested to hear what my fellow board members think. I have a couple of thoughts in my head right now in the direction I'd like to see go and who I think might be best suited, but I want to hear what everybody else has to say and then we can jump right into it.
And just to follow up on that, Don, I was going to ask each candidate if they had anything else to say, but I think they all did a great job. I think they really presented themselves well. And like you said, we know all of them. It's not like it's someone who we don't know. We've known them. I've known them all my life. So, you know, I think we all have. So I think we have a good sense of them and really, they did a great job, their answers to our questions. So,
Agreed.
yep. Who wants to talk next? Selectman Murphy.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I agree, all four candidates did a fine job answering the questions. We do know them, so that sometimes makes the decision harder because we know them so well. But I believe that all four candidates could do the job. We have to make sure we have the right fit. We heard over and over from the four candidates, communication, and that's key. And when you're in a leadership position, you need to be able to communicate well and be able to get your message out. There is some, you know, there's been some turmoil in the fire department over the year, and we need to get this person in here that will help heal the department, which is moving in the right direction. So I'd like to also hear from my other colleagues, but I got some other comments down the road, but I don't want to monopolize the conversation right now.
Okay, who else? Selectman Wilkinson?
Sure. So I fully agree with both Don and Paul. I mean, I was looking over quickly, just so everyone knows, we got the nicest isn't the right word, but we got the most thoughtful applications from all four of these gentlemen that I was like, honestly, I was just taken aback. And I kind of looked through them again just quickly while they were speaking. And between the four of them, they have 122 years of service to the town.
Wow.
So like that alone is just, it's like an embarrassment of riches, honestly, what we're left with tonight. It really is, because we are so lucky to have, you know, the men and women, and, you know, we continue to say it, the men and women of this department. And sure, you know, there have been issues, you know, I feel like the town, I feel like the selectmen, the town administration, along with the leadership of the department, I think we're doing a good job of moving forward, addressing those issues. You know, some of them are more complicated than others. I think that these men have, you know, are all, you know, a part of it, whether or not they get this position, whether or not, you know, we can only give the position to one of them. The three who don't, I think, play almost, you know, almost as much important of a role as continuing to move the department forward, because you know, whether or not you have the title of captain, I mean, you are the history and the future of this department. And I think the town looks to all of you to you know, to keep moving. But I'm just literally taken aback by the applications, by the answers. And we're so lucky. I think I looked earlier. Yeah, there are close to 100 people on here. I love when lots of people join us for interviews, because I feel like sometimes the residents of town kind of don't know how good we have it until we interview people and get to hear some answers. But 122 years is a lot of experience.
Yep, agreed.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Ross?
Yeah, you know, it's very tough because, you know, they all touched on, you know, my main thing, which is, I think, is communication. And, you know, like Selectman Murphy said, communication. So, they're all open to that and they all want that. So I think it's going to make it tough.
I agree. One of the things that struck me was I think it's very important for us. At the last meeting, I said we have 3 new fire recruits that have put in their application, and now they have all been booked for physicals. So they'll get their physicals and then they'll be up and ready to be starting to be trained, which is an important thing. And I believe there are 3 other recruits booked for with applications that need to come in to get Corey checked and go on. So that hopefully is 6 right off the bat. But one of the biggest things that we need to look for is someone who's had experience and is very interested in training people, available to train. And I like one person said they'd been a clerk, a number 1 driver, lieutenant, captain. And those kind of things, I'm sure probably almost everyone has done that who's applied today, but it's good to know that they can teach these things. They can say, this is where you can go in this group, and have fun and do trainings. And like everyone has mentioned, have them be pulled right in, always be with them. I remember hearing the ambulance people saying that they were always with new recruits. Come on down and wash the truck. Get used to where the stuff is in the ambulance and that kind of thing. And I think those are the big welcoming things that we have to push, that the people do for these new recruits to get them invested in the department. And I think everyone had great answers to that. So other thoughts, Selectman Murphy?
No, I'm just stretching.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just, can I go for a sec?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agreed with the quotes that you kind of pulled out. I also, I really liked when Don Poole earlier said, that his mother pushed, I think it was that your mom pushed finishing school, your dad pushed working, but really everyone comes with all different experiences, and that's a part of it. And it's not, it's not a cookie cutter, it's not kind of one path that takes you somewhere. And I think that's probably, what makes the department diverse, is that, everyone has a variety of experiences and history that has brought them there. I also, I loved the focus that actually all of them had, obviously on communication. And I feel as though even in the last probably, month or so, communication, Acting Chief Kirk has done an excellent job with just, communication and taking forward steps. And so I'm happy to see all 4 applicants were, that's important to all of them. I think everyone realizes the need for that. I'm just kind of going over my notes. Somebody else can kick in if they want as well.
I thought it was great that everyone mentioned safety of each other and of, around the scene of the fire truck and all of that. That's one of the number 1 concerns, is safety, because that is such a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And protecting each other.
Yeah.
I think at this point, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I'm talking out
No,
loud.
I was actually just gonna, if you have more to add, because I was just gonna move this forward a bit if I could, and just kind of throw my applicant's hat in the ring, if we will. Knowing temperaments, knowing the people, hearing the answers, taking the totality of circumstances into account for everybody. I have to put Captain Wanson's name out there for a nomination. I'm not sure how the others feel about it. I think Mark would be very well suited on that board, and has the right mindset, the right temperament to lead that department and lead the board, and to really make it have an impact. And as my question kind of said, how how do we take steps to ensure forward progress, I think we could work well with him in order to make that happen. That department needs to run on its own. I don't think there's one member of this Board of Selectmen that wants or has any desire for any involvement in running a fire department. We have no idea how to do it. We don't want to know how to do it. We don't want to have anybody on puppet strings. And I think the independence of somebody like Captain Watson and his mindset would speak volumes and really have an impact on that department going forward. So I'll leave it at that and wait to hear what everybody else has to say.
Selectman Murphy.
I concur with Selectman Campbell as well. We shouldn't run the fire department, nor should we. There was nothing, our responsibility is not to run the fire department. It's to, pick the Board of Engineers and things of that nature. So, but I agree that Captain Watson would be a great fit for the Board of Engineers. He's smart. He knows the job. He knows the town. He knows the community. And he's obviously put his time in. It's a tough decision to make, but I'm in agreement with Selectman Campbell.
Selectman Brackett.
I also concur with, I liked his answer about, how to inspire others, as he wants to tell his story to help others, what inspired him, so others can also be inspired the same way. And with that, if you'd like, I'll make a motion if you'd like.
Okay, any, Sarah, did you want to?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Mark would be a great choice. I think, when I first read the applications, I took some notes, and, I had written down that, in his letter to us, Mark puts that he leads by example, which I think is something that we're all looking for. And then, tonight, when he was answering questions, I really liked that when I forget who it was, since we've heard the questions multiple times now, I should know, but Mark said that there isn't much, as he leads as a captain, there isn't much he would change. And I like that. I like the honesty of that, and if you think something works, you should continue it. I think that Mark, I think he would be a team player. I think, the key here is moving forward and working with the other members of the Board of Engineers, because, like with the selectmen, we are elected individually, and, and the engineers are chosen individually, appointed individually, but there's a significant amount of working together and being a team player. And I think Mark would do a great job at that. I think I'm good with that. I'm just, there's a lot to process, because I had spent so much time reading the applications, which were so impressive. But I think that would be great. And I personally really hope that the other, that those who don't get chosen tonight, continue to be leaders of the department, because
Absolutely.
whether or not you're on the Board of Engineers, I mean, the four gentlemen here tonight are clearly the leaders of the department. And so I think, in some senses, tonight was also a discussion about what the most important things and what we need to, if until we keep going, more frequent, meetings with the Board of Selectmen. It's really cool. I'm actually really curious about when a new recruit is brought on, if there are, do other towns have requirements for minimum numbers of calls you have to go on, stuff like that? Yes, I totally agree. We don't want to be micromanaging a department, but there are some things I'd love to just kind of learn more about and be interested in.
And if I could add to that, because Sarah said something I think that was pretty important. Going forward, I think, as everybody said, communication is key to this whole thing. And I think as we've opened up our meetings at the beginning of our meetings, to have different committees and chairmen come in and talk to us and kind of give us a state of the state address on the whole thing. I think it's important to do that with our town departments, with fire, with police, harbor master, what have you. And then really that way, the unfortunate events have occurred, but I think we're really moving past that now. And I think we have a positive eye on this. And the way to avoid it in the future is to have those open lines of communication where, again, we're not trying to micromanage in any way, any department. We can't address problems that are little until they become big, unless we hear them. We have to hear them first so we know what's going on. So, I'm hopeful that that's the way this will move forward in the future, and that, events that have occurred never have to happen again. And we put the right people in place. Again, I think Captain Watson is absolutely qualified for that position and would do us well in that position. And I'll leave it at that. So thank you.
Yeah, this was a tough decision because all four candidates were quite qualified for the position, and I have no doubt that all four could do the position. But we have to make a tough decision, and we'll make that decision. And the fire department will move forward, and I'm looking forward to working with Captain Watson, and I'm pleased with the way this discussion went.
I think they all brought a lot of good expertise. I think Mark brings a lot of coming up the ladder and then looking back where he came from with his guys, knowing what's important to them, what was important to him, what probably is important to all of the guys, but especially it sort of resonated with what he was saying about being a clerk and then #1 driver and then lieutenant and then captain. It's sort of a logical progression, but I think he's also sort of a person who can look back and see where he came from and what worked for him, what works for the guys on his group to keep them motivated and happy. And I really like the part that he said, have fun. Several other people mentioned that too, but this is a fun thing for them to do. This is something they get into because they love. It's something that they crave all the time of training. We saw
Passion.
it's a passion for them, of their training, of their teaching each other how to drive the trucks, learning this, learning that. I agree. I think Mark would be an excellent candidate to move forward to the member of the Board of Fire Engineers. I do hope that this appointment will help unite the department and move someone from a captain's position up, so they have that voice who are with the other 2 engineers, and that the 3 of them can work on picking a chief and moving the department forward and looking back at what needs to be done this year to make progress. Another thing that I thought of while we were talking about this, even though firemen aren't appointed by the board like police officers and other people are, I really think it would be very nice if the fire engineers brought the new recruits every time to a meeting to introduce them. I mean, they're people we'll see around town. They're probably people we'll know. So it'd be nice to bring the new recruits in to a Board of Selectmen meeting and say, I'd like to present our 3 new recruits today, or 1 recruit, or whoever. And I think we need to do that with like ambulance personnel too. We have people who are working in town that are in groups that we don't even know. So I think that would be a nice thing to see if this new combination of fire engineers would be willing to do from now on. I think that'd be great. Any other discussion? Yes, Selectman Wilkinson.
Yeah, going back, it was long ago in the meeting at this point, but when Doug was first speaking and I asked the question about how long he wanted to be on the Board of Engineers for, and he said he remembered waiting to turn 18 to be able to be a fireman. That goes along with your, besides becoming a fireman, I think being presented, in front of the selectmen, and it would be really cool. So I totally am with you on that.
Yeah.
And one last point, if I may,
Yes.
if Captain Watson is elected tonight, everybody should know that the term expires on June 30th, 2021. So there is a window there to really make an impact and out of the gate, really get things done. I mean, it's just the way the terms fall. So that's a June 30, 2021, and then we would have to go through this again and reappoint at that point, I believe, unless I'm wrong on something. That's the way it would be.
We would just do the annual reappointments. We wouldn't do individual interviews and all of that. We would just do a,
So it goes as a slate. Is that correct? I forget how that went. It goes at all three at once.
um,
That's correct.
Oh, good. Okay, thanks, Mitch.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
and
All right,
this
good.
is
Well,
just filling in
Poor
expired.
Mark, poor Mark was probably just like, oh my God, I have 2 months.
yeah, I was trying. I wanted to motivate him to get things done in 2 months and really hit the ground running there.
I know, totally.
Madam Chair, would you like a motion?
Yes, I think Ross was going to give one earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ross.
I can do
I'm
it.
sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the selectmen appoint Captain Mark Watson as a member of the Board of Fire Engineers for the town of Rockport with a term to expire June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think it's just important to note because it's come up in our last few meetings that our motions are prepared in advance, basically, so that the motion is actually properly and legally done. But in a case like this, the name is totally blank, and then whatever happens during the meeting, whatever discussion
Yeah.
happens, whoever
Right.
makes the motion puts the name in. So I think that's just important to let people know.
Excellent
Mhm.
point, Sarah. Thank you.
Very
Yep,
good.
that's right.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion?
I mean, just thank you to all candidates. I think it was honestly, I feel like just this interview session tonight was continuing to move us forward.
And I think this is great. I mean, I have not, I've only been a selectman for 3 years, but I've never seen so many people interested in it. I don't know whether it's always gone. We've had multiple applicants other years or not. But I think probably this is the first year we've had so many applicants. I think it was probably just one person decided to do it and they voted on it, sort of. I don't know, but I think this was wonderful that 4 people submitted their applications. They did a great job on their applications, great interviews. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's do a roll call vote. Selectman Campbell,
Aye.
Selectman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Brackett,
Aye.
Selectman George, aye. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mark.
Congratulations, Mark.
Congratulations, Captain.
Thank you.
There you
Congratulations.
go.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you to Captain Anderson, Captain Favaloro, and Firefighter Pool. Everyone did an excellent job and continue the great work. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Selectman Campbell,
Aye.
Selectman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Brackett,
Aye.
Selectman George, aye. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.